more folks get in here and get settled in, get the live stream going pretty good, and get your questions in. We're going to do a lot of question answering here in a minute. Ask Jordan whatever you like. In the meantime, check out this little gem from back in the day.
Meanwhile, Auburn has adapted to conditions and is slowing their fishing down.
Throwing a shaky hit on the final day of the national championship. Catching 3-pounders.
Somebody's got to do it.
Got her. Good fish? I don't know. Yeah, keeper. Good one. Keeper. Good one, baby. Stay on. Please stay on. Please stay on.
Yes.
Solid keeper. Get her in the net.
Yes. Finally. Golly, dude.
Number 4. Hey. It is a grind. Net bait. Mini B-bug.
Been a long time.
Choked it. One big bite away now. That was a crucial fish, not only for our weight, but for our confidence right now, because it's been a grind all day.
A team that has had high expectations is Auburn, with All-American Shaye Baker fishing his final college event.
To get to make it out here 2 years in a row and make it to the top 5, it's a blessing. You know, it's been an unbelievable opportunity to even have a chance on the final day to make the cut. This last 2 years has been a real journey. It's been an eye-opener to see if this is what I really wanted to do or not, because we've had to travel all over the place, and you really see what it's like to be on the tour level tournaments, and it's been an interesting journey.
Being in college and doing this at the same time, it's not the easiest thing in the world. You know, I've been gone to school all week, and you know, I'm gone a lot for fishing. You know, it's fun to do. We got 30 people on our team back home that are, you know, wish they were me out here, you know. So it's a good thing for me, and I want to do this after I get out of college, hopefully. So to start here and, you know, make a name for myself is pretty good. Make a name for our school, too.
Got it? Good one, baby. Good
That's
one.
a bass. That's a good one.
Good one, baby.
It doesn't feel like one. It is. It's a big one, too.
Good bass.
Boom! We're coming back. Woo! Choked it, son. That's good.
Good job, baby.
Oh, yeah, that's a white star right there.
Yes. Now we're amped up.
I'll do some work today. Water temp 63 this morning, dude. Golly, man, they gotta be moving. Water's the warmest it's been probably all year right now. That's not a bad thing to happen.
There's one. Good one.
Good fish.
Good one.
Be a begging.
There's a good one. I mean, a good one. Staying on. Coming up.
Oh yeah, good fish. Yeah, that's a good way to start.
Get today started.
Good job.
All right.
A shaky head. Golly, we're on them.
Good job, baby.
Good job. That's number 1. Hey, second biggest one of the tourney. We're starting off right.
Hey, we're in the lead right now. Florida ain't caught one yet.
In the lead.
Start the day in 4th place. It's the Tigers from University of Auburn.
Let's go Auburn, check it out. Huge final day weight. 14 pounds, 13 ounces, 36-3, new leader.
That's where we'll leave that. I don't remember if we won or lost. I'm pretty sure we won, but we'll just leave it there. That's good enough. That was a lot of fun back in the day with the guest, the man of the hour. Joe Gotti. What's going on, Joe Lee?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Could you hear the video?
No, I couldn't hear it, but
What's up? I don't know how to do technology, man. I'm not capable of running computers. Derek told me, our guy in the background, Derek Horner's like, I don't have any sound. I was like, well, I do, so I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy it.
only thing I got from that video, I think FLW was low balling on their weight.
That was weird.
One said 2.5 pounds. It looked like at least a 3.
Yeah, maybe a 6. I don't know. We'll see. You know, maybe.
I always wondered when you caught them, did they weigh them on the water?
Yeah, right. No, it was probably just the camera guy doing or I don't know if they were doing it in studio, but yeah, somebody was definitely low on it.
Yeah, I think it was Rob Newell was probably in the background guessing the weights and was like, "Oh, this is a 2.5. It's like a 4 though."
Oh, Bobby. I ain't thought about Bobby in a minute. I need to check up on old Rob. He's a good one. He's a good dude. All right. So everybody get your questions in. We got Jordan Lee, 2-time classic champ, all around hammer. Moved over to the MLF, and about 37 seconds later, he won one of those. Pretty good fisherman, you know. I mean, you kind of messed up and didn't win us a national championship, but I'm not going to put that on you because I do remember.
On you.
I know you did tell me.
You were in the front of the boat.
That was the cool thing about it. I'll be honest. I've looked back on that a lot over the years, and you told me, like, I was out going senior incoming freshman. You said, look, man, if you want to make decisions, make decisions. And it was kind of a cop out. I'll say.
I thought all those fish catches were just going to be of you. I thought there was just going to be I was going to be netting them all.
Yeah, unfortunately, I ran out after.
Edited that out and did that.
Yeah, I ran out after 2, unfortunately.
You're a tech savvy guy. You could just edit all of my fish catches out and just put all yours in.
Yeah, I mean, Photoshop you out of them classic pictures and put me in there, man. That's pretty nasty. 2 classics, huh? I mean,
yeah, I know a couple of them. A couple derbies, a couple Wednesday nighters.
What
I
about
more classics than I've won Wednesday nighters.
Yeah,
Wednesday nighters.
That's pretty impressive. I take that.
Yeah.
Let's shout out some of the old college guys. JT Murphy and Caleb and Kyron and Paul Wall Davis, Shane Powell, your brother Matt. We had us a good little crew back in the day.
Chris Seals.
Yeah.
Bunch of them.
Well, hammers. Old Shane is out there, your old partner, dropping bombs on them lately, like trying to bust 30 every time he goes on you fall.
Surprise. Yeah, if he doesn't catch, 28, 29, he's had a tough day.
Yeah.
He's dialed in out there, though.
Yeah, he's on a pretty big bag here lately. But yeah,
we're trying to get that 30-pound bag, though. He'll get it one day.
Yeah, it's pretty elusive. That you said something a while ago about that Okeechobee bag. I got on walks 29, like 8. It's really, really hard to be upset about not busting the dirty 30 with 29 pounds.
You run as far upriver as you can and getting these flooded ponds, and apparently that's where you can catch like 32, 33 pounds on an orange chatterbait.
That's what I missed. That is definitely the bite I missed on Okeechobee that day. And so how do you go over to a league where every fish counts within a certain criteria and you're never going to get a shot at catching the dirty 30 again? But still, Jordan, you go over there in your first 5, you intentionally set it up where you could have had a 5-fish limit. That's pretty impressive. That's
what I try to do, just so people, could just kind of
see
it and pick up on it. Yeah.
I picked up what you did now.
I think the first couple tournaments, until it got shut off, there wasn't. I met my best day, I think, was 8 fish, in 3 tournaments.
You follow. I remember there weren't many fish catches, but they were big. Most all of them were 4 or 5 plus. It was a lot of big fish.
Yeah. We hadn't had a numbers tournament yet.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
What you up to? How you been?
I'm doing good, man. I just did a little web show. Just doing a little this, a little that, a little weed eating at the farm, a little snake killing. Got a lot of snakes here lately. Well, that's pretty exciting. I'll be honest. It's not 2 classic wins exciting, but it's pretty exciting.
The classic wins. It's fun for a couple days, And then it's just good memories after that. I don't wake up and think about it like you'd think. Like I don't wake up and go look at my classic trophies and brush them off and polish them. It's just kind of there, but good memory.
That's why you'll win more. Because if it was me, I would be polishing jokers every day, and I'd never even probably make another cast. I'm like, I'm done.
If you had 2 classic trophies, let me ask you this: would they be behind you?
Oh yeah. See, this was a consolation prize. This was a participation prize.
Yeah.
I got all my stuff.
I got those hung up too. Don't worry.
Yeah, those were good. The college fishing deal was so low. We put pressure on ourselves, but it was so low pressure, really. No entry fees hardly. We just go out there and mess around.
Oh yeah.
I remember a few times where you get in a little early in the morning and just roll out there in the boat and
early
come in at like
4 o'clock.
One of those days on Neely Henry, I think.
Oh, I'll never forget that.
That was nuts. The first 70 zeros or something like that. You're like, I'm done with it. I'm over this. And then you go out there and you we were in your boat that day. You put the captain's seat in the front, Bill Nant style, and catch the big fish for the tournament on a shaky head. I'm just like, man, this kid catches them. It don't matter, man.
That was brutal.
Yeah, that was a good time. Real good. I remember. We fell asleep on the boat, and either Shane or Matt came around the corner and woke us up.
I fell asleep. I know I did.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
From what I remember that day, I remember having a bad headache, and I remember eating some donuts. And I remember the water being like 38 degrees, and it was just pure mud. And it was just it was a joke.
Yeah, that was a miserable derby.
It was a joke. Yeah.
Unfortunately, in the video, you could have heard, if you could have heard, the old Jay Lee whistle. I hadn't heard that whistle in a while. Can you hit it for me? Right?
Matt, I can hit it one time.
Hit it once for me.
It goes like this.
There it is. There it is.
Sacks. Shaye catches big sacks.
Say saxophone.
Saxophone.
Oh, can't do two in a row. Saxophone.
So you still got it. Matt still hits it all the time.
Yeah, Matt's on that whistle bag.
Yeah, he is.
Well, where I met Jordan Lee, I actually recruited Jordan Lee for Auburn University upon the instruction of our advisor at I don't even think there was high school fishing back then. I think it was just
no high school, no.
Bass Nation Juniors or something like that. I don't even know what it was, but rolled up on you. We took it, Gold Star Park. You were on stage. You didn't have that day, surprisingly. Yeah,
they were like a Major League Baseball scout.
Yeah, I was, man. I was on. I remember Jan Swain saying, "Go! I want you to go down here and recruit this kid." I'm like, dude, recruit? I'm like, man. I think I was either the treasurer or the president of the club, Auburn University at the time. I'm like, we don't recruit people to fish. Like, how good is he? He's like, well, he's won 3 BFLs or something like that. And he's like 17. I said, 3 BFLs.
Go pay him off.
Yeah, that's pretty stout.
Didn't you pay me off?
Yeah, I think I did. But we won't talk about that.
Ones at me.
Well, there was a bag man between you and I. But that's probably going to get us both in a lot of trouble.
I remember that. I remember but the time I wanted to go to Auburn, I remember seeing Adam Murphy and Richard Peak on ESPN2 or ESPNU maybe, and they were fishing one of those national championships, and that's when I first figured out the college fishing deal was a thing. But yeah, we met at I think for the first time down there at Wetumpka, Alabama River.
Mm-hmm. That was
and I got to start talking to Jan, and it kind of started rolling from there.
Yeah, it was pretty good move on Auburn's part. I'll be honest with you. Jan didn't get a lot of credit, and that was a good move on his part. It's a good decision to come in there and try to talk you into that.
Oh yeah, there was no real talking though. I kind of knew where I wanted to go, and it worked out. But yeah,
talking about that, I want to talk a little bit. I mean, a lot of folks know the Jordan Lee 2-time Classic champion, MLF Pro, Hammer, and whatnot. But see if I can get a little picture in here without crashing my entire system.
Crash sound and everything.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it'll be all right.
This right here was a big deal back in the day. For those of y'all that don't know, one of the things I want Jordan to talk about, you've all seen him on stage holding the big trophy and everything. That right there was probably the biggest gut punch he'd ever had. He was one step away from the Bassmaster Classic in a bracket system, ended up fishing against his brother, Matt Lee, and breaks a big one off under a dock and misses the Classic. And it's easy to look back now and say, well, he won 2 of them. There was nothing saying he was ever going to go to one after that right there. I mean, that's as close as a lot of people get, So we all know what happened next. Well, some of you may not know the immediate future, which was the next year, Matt goes to the Classic. The next year, Auburn gets back to the College National Championship, and they change up the way they did the bracket to intentionally try to prevent another team from having to fish against each other, because it was awesome TV to see y'all two go head to head, but it was pretty miserable at the same time. And lo and behold, Shane Powell and Jordan Lee end up going head to head again. And so it's tough. I mean, you had to dish out what you got the year before, but you won that bracket and you went to the Bassmaster Classic. Talk about that part of your life. I mean, that was like a movie to me.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, there was probably 80, 90 teams or something like that back then. But yeah, Matt and I made it to, the bracket to go to the Classic. We didn't win the national championship either year, but, that year, Matt and I faced off, and that was really like when we started, to get some notoriety, I guess. And how can you forget two brothers, and that was when it was starting to get big, and the classic and all that was kind of coming together. And Matt winning that day, but just us fishing against each other that day, it really we got a lot of notoriety, from that day and that tournament. And that was, looking back, that was probably the biggest deal, and for both of us, I think, in our whole careers, was that tournament. And looking, obviously looking back now, wasn't thinking about that then. You're thinking about the classic, and this is my only shot to make it. Fast forward, the next year, Shane and I, that was my whole goal. That was my last year in school, and you'd been graduated, I think, for a year or two, something like that. But
I was actually covering that tournament when you and Shane fished against each other.
Oh, really?
For bass, I think then.
Yeah, I think so. But that was my number one goal. That was Shane's goal. We were fishing our senior year together, and we're like, man, we need to win a national championship, make it to the bracket. And lo and behold, we made it to the bracket, and we were battled it out, and we were the last two standing. And so that was pretty special, obviously, to go out like that. And I knew how Shane felt, obviously, because I felt the way. I was devastated, because I'm like, this is my only shot. But me and Shane are, nothing happened there. But it's tough. I always thought it shouldn't be like that two partners should have to face off and fish for basically a life-changing event. That was hard on, that was hard on the anglers, and it still would be hard. So I think there's a different way they could do it.
Yeah.
But,
family. I mean, I remember Lee and Bruce. Golly, man. I mean, when you and Matt fished, and even you and Shane, but when you and Matt fished together or against each other, it's like, how do you?
Yeah,
it's miserable. But it made for an awesome story, especially coming back and winning. I mean, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but it'd be hard to change it if you could, looking back, because you have an action story the next year.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a huge step in my career. The winning that and making it to Gunnersville and being out of school and having a chance to start my career and kind of get the ball rolling, because it's hard to get the ball rolling in professional fishing. It's not, people looking on the outside looking in, and see all the anglers and they don't really know how they got there, but it's not really an easy process. But it kind of lined up for me, and gave me a year that I could just kind of just focus on fishing, and that's what that tournament did for sure.
Yeah, it was. I do remember too. I was there because I was Hank, the tournament director, Hank Weldon, had actually asked me, like, how do we need to do this where we don't end up with a head-to-head again? And I remember they changed the bracket, but still somehow or another y'all ran into each other. I think they put you at each end of it or something like that, where it was. I mean, the only way for you to get there is for you both went out, which is almost impossible. And you both went out and hit each other right in the head. So
no, I'm not sure it's happened again where two college anglers fish off against each other, but it could have, but I don't think it has yet.
So what about high school fishing, college fishing, all that stuff? I mean, is that really where these kids that are wanting to get into it need to go and pursue that? Like you said before, they didn't have it. I mean, you were fishing BFLs at 17 and you won a few of them, and up on Gunnersville, that's amazing, because there's guys that they fish out there professionally. Like, they're guides, and then they fish the local tournaments, make $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year fishing one lake. So that's a hard route to go, and it worked out good for you, but you're a special breed. And what do you think is the right path for kids these days? Is it just high school fishing and college fishing?
I don't really know. If I was to do it over again, in this day and time, I think, the high school level, it's good, but then there's some downfall to it, I think, just because, when I was later in high school, like when I turned 16, I started fishing co-angler, and I feel like around that age, that was a good move for me. And I feel like if high school anglers are really serious about it, they need to start jumping in the back of other people's boats paying $100, for a tournament and fishing 3 or 4 or 5 tournaments, learn your local lakes because you and your dad taking you out there and putting you on fish or I mean, that's what kind of happens. I see, and it's not. It's just how it is. I mean, it's not. It's just how the high school tournaments go. It's everybody's competitive and you want to win, but I feel like you need to learn before you can win. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the thing about high school fishing, you're right. It's a bad deal because, in a way, it's a bad deal because it's so hard for a dad or a guy. I mean, a dad or a boat captain or whatever to go sit in the boat with you and not say anything, not try to help you, knowing that other dads and other boat captains are. So you're automatically putting, your kid at a disadvantage. But at the same time, that kid needs to learn to fish for himself, to find fish for himself. I mean, it's the way you get better. So maybe right, like the co-angler deal may be, and it may be a mixture of both. Do some.
I think going out and if I was 15, 16 years old and I could get on a boat, going out and just trying to do whatever I think to do and not having a good day, I would rather do that than go out there and have somebody put me on a spot that's loaded with them and catch them all day. That's just it's better. It's better in the long run.
Yeah.
Short term, you look like a hero and it's a fun day or whatever. But long term, if you're serious about it, you really need to take those steps and
hone your skill,
learn from other people. I mean, that's the joy. That's the beauty of our sport is you can learn from other anglers. And I mean, I learned a lot. Those couple years and fishing as a co-angler, and I kind of took advantage of that, and I think a mixture of both's good.
Yeah. Well, let's remind everybody to share this, start a watch party, help us get the word out about the show. Wishing I was fishing live here with Jordan Lee tonight. We're going to do a little Q&A. Do a lot of Q&A throughout this thing, so get your questions in and anything you want to know, we'll ask Jordan Lee. So we got Joe Drowns here wanting to know what you throwing now on Gunnersville.
I hadn't been to Gunnersville a whole lot lately. Even though we've had a little off downtime. I've been going to Smith Lake, going to Wheeler, but if I thought about going to Gunnersville this weekend, the fish are going to be shallow, majority of the fish still, and it's probably going to be muddy. It's probably going to be a little high. Probably going to throw a swim jig, maybe flip a little bit, just kind of fish shallow stuff, beat the bank. I think that's really this is the only time you're in Gunnersville you can do that and actually catch good fish. So, that's what I would probably be doing, plastics, but chatterbait, anything, that 3 foot, 4 foot is going to probably be your best shot.
And like I said, get some more questions in. I just was notified by our producer in the background, old Derek Horner over there, that we're going to be giving away some bullseyes, 3 of them randomly to the people who share this here live dealio with fishing and the wishing and stuff. Just bullseye, man. That's it right there. Boop. See that?
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's where you drop your waypoint or pattern point in the ANGLR app. We'll get into the ANGLR app here in a little while too and break down a little water. We're gonna break down Jordan Lake of all places in North Carolina. You ever fished Jordan Lake?
Once.
Really? Oh, that was in the MLF deal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it did horrible.
Falls Lake, Jordan Lake, and something else out there.
Yeah, that was my worst tournament last year, I think. So I should be have some really good input on where to catch fish at.
Yeah, you're on a bag. Quit. Y'all are going back there again this year at some point whenever this happens, right?
I'm not sure on that. We were going to go, but there's no telling now. Right. I'm just hoping we get to go.
Yeah. Somewhere at some point.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Hopefully we just get on the water again. But I'll have to be fishing wildcats from now till then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I know somebody knows a little something about a wildcat. What's she trying to get folks off this show to go watch the draft for?
Yeah, man. Yeah, look at her. But she did comment again, so she's still watching just because she commented twice. But yeah, she's worried about the draft. We know Joe Burrow's going #1. I mean,
yeah, who cares? Out of here.
Kim does.
Yeah.
I promise.
Well, let's see. Let's get into the Lowrance ghost stories. That's a little segment we like to do. We talk about this new trolling motor, Lowrance Ghost. What you think about that thing so far?
About like anything new, my honest opinion, starting out using it, I wasn't like over the top, like, but after and it was kind of like the Ultrex, like when I first started using it, I was like, I don't know, this just kind of feels weird. But the more I use the Ghost, it's just got a different feel to it. As far as the foot pedal goes, because it's brushless and it, doesn't have the cables and stuff in it. But the upsides to it are really there's tons of upsides to it. Being super quiet, number one, you can go 3 or 4 miles an hour, if you got it on 100, and it's got tons of just cool features, to it. It's got little keypad buttons on it where you can kind of program what you want on it, and it's just all around it's a beast of a trolling motor. If I was going to go buy one right now after using it for a while, I would go buy, a Lowrance one, honestly. But they did a good job on it. Comes through grass good. It's just a good trolling motor.
It did a lot of little things, like I said. And one of the things that was neat to me, I went out with Canterbury and we were doing a shoot or whatever, and he had it, and he hadn't had it long, but there's like a little clip at the head of the trolling motor that you can, like that little guide, and you slide your pull cord over into it, and it takes so much of the weight off, and you get that leverage point. That's really, really simple, but really, really smart.
Really simple. Yeah.
It makes it way better.
Yeah, it is, and when you pick your trolling motor up, it turns automatically the head a certain way, so you don't have to twist it every time. But it's really been legit. I would definitely look into one, whether it's 24 volts, 36 volts. It can program both ways, but definitely a great thing they made there.
Here's a little more Lowrance love. So you got that's a pretty nice graph you got right there, Joe Gotti.
It looks like a 28-inch on the.
That's a flash. Now, what about a lot of folks jump around different sponsors and stuff, and not many people. Look at Joe Gotti right here with them Gem 1s, baby.
Old school.
That's old nappy.
That's Pickwick from graphing for days and days. I was a little sleepy. It was like 200 degrees, and we found some shade, and I was like, dude, pull over there. I don't know why I was so tired.
I got an idea.
No, they've always made good units. I remember, back in the day, I had those. The first Ranger I had 520s on them. Like, they were the first color graphs, and they were like that big. You probably remember those. But then I got those, and but yeah, they've always been my graph of choice.
And you're you're a big time offshore guy. Like, you like that growing up on guns, well, you got to be that. And
I don't go big time, but I've caught a few fish off the bank. Yeah. I'm not a big time offshore guy, but yeah, I like fishing that way. If nobody else is fishing that way, it's a good time to fish it. But nowadays it's almost better not to be a big offshore guy and be a Shaye Baker and go throw a frog, because nobody's fishing up there.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to look at their graphs and look at the little dots on their screen.
I think Ryan Cox might be a better example for what you're talking about. But it is very factual. Like, he was our guest in the last episode, and that dude has gone up there and found the shallows that everybody else forgot, and with Tommy Biffle and everybody else, he channels everything. And
and that's kind of how I'm starting to look at things more. the more I fish, the more I've seen the the last several years it progress, and more guys getting good at that. And when more guys start doing one thing, they're leaving other stuff.
Yeah.
But it's still productive. But when everybody else is doing this, it makes it a little bit more challenging.
And that happens with a lot of stuff in fishing. I mean, if you think about like a spook was awesome, and everybody starts throwing it, and the whopper plopper comes out, it's awesome. Then everybody starts throwing it. Now you go back to throwing a spook, and it's a lot of times better than a whopper plopper. There's these trends all through the sport. If you can kind of have a long memory and try to go back to stuff, old baits like buzz baits, they'll go away for a little while and they'll come back. And so it's the same kind of deal. But yeah, there we go. That's a little of that. So let's pull them down. I got to stuff through it.
The Lowrance units, I got them on all my rigs, and now I'm running 212s with the dash and 16 up front. But I mean, they make graphs for kayaks. I mean, you can any level graphs a good graph from them. But that's all I'm saying on that.
Yeah, I'll say something. I'll add to that. That elite unit, I had those on those when I gave away a boat with uploaded. I had 2 Elite 9s, and they are touch screens. And I mean, supposedly there's a little bit of a step down from the HDS structure scan to that Elite 9s or the Elite units. They got 12-inch ones too, but I'm not real good at offshore fishing, so I couldn't tell you.
The difference.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to see the fins. If I just see it's a fish, I'm gonna throw at it. I don't know what I'm looking at half the time. Anyway, I fish for crappie quite a bit.
Yeah.
But those elite units, yeah, they're half the price of the HDS units, and they're fantastic. And good unit for a kayak. I think it's it gives you all the, like I said, touch screen, structure scan, get all the different stuff down scan, and it's a lot cheaper. So.
Oh yeah.
All right. What about so you got us? Let's see if we can get some questions here on the screen. Let's see. Kim's just trying to have a conversation.
She is. She's on top of it. She always is on top of it.
Yeah, she's pretty solid. All right. So what about chatterbait? A lot of folks have asked about your chatterbaits and or vibrating jigs. Do you use a chatterbait? What kind of vibrating jig do you use?
Yeah, I've got several in my box. I mean, last year I was throwing when I was at when I won at Lake Garcia in the MLF tournament, I was throwing a Jackal brake blade, and I was putting a couple different trailers on it. Berkeley just came out with, they had kind of a little prototype trailer going on, and I was throwing a couple different trailers with it, but I threw that one last year some, and this year I threw the Z-Man jackhammer, which is probably the most popular one, and it was the orange color. I'd thrown some homemade chatterbaits on Gunnersville for years that were like, when the water was real muddy, I could really catch them good on that orange. And I mean, it was noticeable difference as far as getting bites. And I was putting a Berkeley Chigger Crawl on it, and that Chigger Crawl just gives a little bit more thump in that super muddy water, and that's what Eufaula was. And so I seen that Z-Man Evergreen they came out with the orange color, and the reason that chatterbait's a little bit better is, I mean, several reasons, but the main reason is that blade, it's the right thickness, and so it thumps really good, and they powder coat the blade. And the ones that I had that were homemade, they're actually painted, and that orange, that paint will make the blade thicker, so it doesn't have that same, it doesn't thump the same.
Yeah.
Powder coating that blade, it's real thin, and that's the reason that jackhammer's a good bait. I mean, that's the main deal. But anyways, it was orange, and they could have bid a green pumpkin or whatever, but I mean, that's what I had confidence in, and putting a Chigger Crawl in the back, putting a little orange on that, and that was.
It's interesting that you were on top of that. I never had seen an orange one, never had thought about throwing an orange, but Gunnersville, I mean, red traps and all, they do really well, so it makes sense that would work. But I never had that was never on my radar, and all of a sudden, man, it blew up.
Yeah, the ones I got made. I mean, I didn't have a big tournament on Gunnersville, but I threw them for several springs,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, they would eat it when that water's muddy. I mean, it was noticeable. I don't know if they just track it down or whatever, but I mean, I just thought the same thing. They like red. Who knows why? It's a
Yeah.
mystery. But I mean, it could be the crawfish, or they can just see it or whatever. But they eat a red bait in early spring, February. Why not throw that? But it definitely works. February, late February. But
Remember Damon Coppola,
oh yeah, world famous, no doubt.
world fine.
I wonder what he's doing now.
Coppola. Hey,
He's world famous.
world famous. What's up, Damon? All right. Well, I've got another little. You need some more questions for Jordan? Ask away. You need to remember to share this for your chance to win one of 3 bullseyes from ANGLR. We'll give out 3 at random to people who share the video and help us get the word out that we're having a little sit down here with Joe Gotti, Jordan Lee, Jay Lee. Got a lot of.
And you every week? Are you doing this every week, Shaye?
Every Thursday night at 7 o'clock until we stop. I mean, no, every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Yeah, it's a good time.
They fire you.
Yeah, it won't be long.
Yeah, you'll get 2 more weeks in at least.
Yeah.
I'll give you a 2-week notice tonight after doing it with me.
Yeah. I don't get 2 weeks notices. I usually get fired on the spot.
On the spot. Yeah, that's better. It doesn't make you the pain,
Well, I've typically done something really bad and like punishable by law. So I don't blame them. Let's see. So we got, everybody get your questions in. I'm going to stop saying that because I've said it a million times. Joe Gotti, how important is it to have a good woman? Speaking from the experience of a guy that doesn't have one, and this is an application. Feel free to fill out an application for Mrs. Baker's position. But Joe Gotti, you got you a good one, man.
Yeah, Kristen, she's a good woman. I mean, honestly, got real lucky to find her, and I don't know if there's a key to success with that, Shaye, and I don't know if I'm the right guy. You've been around me enough. I don't know if I'm the right guy for the question. I'm sure there's a lot more people out there that have better.
Well, it worked out good for you. My dad's favorite thing that you ever did or said, outside of, even winning 2 classics, he's more proud of this comment that you made one time. We were at, I think, Monroe, and down around Florida, Orlando, or whatever, and we're fishing Lake Monroe. And me and you and Mom and Dad were going to go get dinner somewhere or something like that. We get in the car, and Dad's like, Jordan, you got a girlfriend? And you said, I do, all right. And Daddy, for some reason, he loved that. That stuck with me.
And I see a comment on there. He says, Shaye, Jordan's still doing all right.
Oh, I just saw it. Yeah, he just put it out there.
Yeah, I do all right. Nothing special, Mr. Baker, but,
Give a pop a little shout out on there. There
he
you go.
still likes that.
Yeah, he liked that.
That sounds like something I'd say. I don't remember that exact moment, but yeah, I'll back that I said that.
Yeah, that was. But yeah, you did, dude. You did all right in the long run.
I did all right,
Yeah,
but none of them as special as Kristen. So
yeah. We're gonna jump into the anglers break down your water. Do a little of that right quick. Anglers break down your water. Look, I'm so fancy. All right, let's see if we can find.
you got it dialed in on here.
Do what?
I said you got it dialed in on here.
Yeah,
The background on my screen is a topo map.
yeah. I don't play it. Did you know they kicked me out of school?
No.
Yeah, they kicked me out because of recess. I don't play.
I knew you were going to say that.
It's not fair, man. You've heard my jokes before.
Set me up good on that too.
You're welcome. All right, let's see if I can find.
I knew you were going to have a corny joke somewhere through this deal. I just had to wait my time, and it was about 30 minutes in. I finally got it.
I got another one for you. How much? This may be why I'm single. My best pickup line, my go-to. You know how much a polar bear weighs?
This is going to be bad. I'm already cringing.
Enough to break the ice. Hi, I'm Shaye Baker.
Oh, no wonder you don't have one. That's true. You use that one. Yeah, you need to call me before you use it because
I need one right now. I need one. I'm gonna put you on the spot. I need a good.
it better. I don't use pickup lines like that, but
You just
There
walk.
better not be a 10 you're saying that to, or I'm gonna come find you.
You just walk in with that swag. I do.
I don't walk into nothing anymore, son. Slap me to the ground.
Yeah, that's
I
good.
don't have any more swag coming into the house. Trust me, that swag's long gone.
Walk in, you knock on the door, you say, "May I enter?" You take your shoes off, you go in, you do what you're told. That's a good boy.
Maybe 10 years ago, but present day, no swag doesn't get you much.
Swagless. All
I
right.
think you get a pat on the back.
Yeah. Let's throw the map up here, and let's. This is kind of a cool segment. I like doing this. This is Jordan. Oh, I messed up my phone apparently. All right, this is Jordan Lake, which is perfect since this is Jordan Lee. This is in North Carolina, and this is apparently not a great fishery according to Jordan Lee. He's not a big fan.
It's a good fishery. I just didn't do that great.
Well, we're gonna break it down for him. What do you? I mean, where all did you go on this deal? Is it a pretty big lake? I remember some of those lakes out there were pretty small, weren't they?
See, my problem is we actually have 1 day of practice there, which is not very much. And water was flooded. It's probably pretty high now, or if it was in the bushes, pretty good when we were there. But it was early. Water was still low 50s. It was still kind of early. And I looked one day up the lake, my 1 day of practice. It really depends on the water level. And, I went all the way up north on both of those deals. I'm trying to see. Yeah, I can tell right now. So this was actually, when we were there, I believe one of the anglers that did really, really well. This was all flooded out. So all that you're seeing there was up in the woods. And the water started to fall. And so all those fish that were in those woods kind of sucked into that creek, I believe. You can see that defined ditch and stuff. And it was just kind of every day in the spring's changing. That's the one thing to know. You're not going to go 1 year and go here, this exact spot. It's really day to day, especially when the water's up and down. So it's not going to last very long. So whatever you go do is not probably going to work the next weekend.
Yeah.
When you have high water and stuff. But a great place to start is, depending on the water level, is the back of one of these major creeks when those fish first pull up. And if you have falling water like we were dealt with, those fish are going to kind of start backing out and moving off those flats because they got to get out of that shallow water, and they're going to go to a ditch or something like that. That's what our tournament, what happened. But typically the upper end of the lake's going to have more cover. You're going to have more trees. You're going to have more cypress trees and bushes and stuff like that. So that's always a good place to start, especially in the spring. And you can spend a whole day in the back of one of these creeks, and we only had a day to practice, so I had to kind of bounce around and really try to find an area. But you can do that, or you can kind of do the opposite thing. And when you're up the lake and like this, there's small pockets up there too. And the good thing about, you can zoom over to the right a little bit. Up towards that muddy creek, right down below that, there's a couple little small pockets right there. And, those, I caught some good fish in there. But the good thing about those smaller pockets this time of year is, they get overlooked a little bit more, but you can fish them quicker, and you can kind of figure out what the fish are doing instead of going in the back of a huge creek, where there's tons of bushes and stuff like that. You can go in these small pockets, and that's where those fish are going to spawn because it's protected, and you can fish it pretty thorough, and it's not going to take you all day to do it. So
yeah, like there's just one or two trees in them too, so you have those places they should set up, but you don't have to work through a whole forest. You can just pull up, make a skip, and move on.
Yeah, and like in this picture that's in this, this is probably 5 foot low. We were 5 foot high, so there was considerable amount of water on those trees. several feet all the way back in them, and there are a lot of bushes and stuff when we were there. But that's what I kind of did, and flipping. If I could go back, I would fish slower, and I really fished too fast because I didn't have a good area, so I was really trying to find them during our one day there. But yeah, slowing down and kind of picking everything apart is really the deal.
What about this time of year? We're kind of getting to that shad spawn deal. What would be like a few places you'd recommend they go look for that?
So, I mean, if there was a shad spawn, yeah, probably the next over there, probably in 2 or 3 weeks, it's probably going to really start happening. Um, Main thing to do if the water's low and there's no cover in the water, I'll be going to the points where those fish are coming to, those shallow points. If the water's still up in the bushes and you have points, you're fishing really the points, or grass or anything like that. But that's always a great place to start where there's bushes, anything green in the water. And that's a pattern most of the time. You're looking for birds, and it's not a spot. But coming out of those pockets, I'm going to be looking where those fish are going to start moving first, and it's going to be the points and the shallow cover around those points, and that's where the shad are probably going to be, and that's a great place to start.
Looks like you got a marina down here.
Where you're at on the lake, and yeah, something like that break wall right there on that marina. It looks stupid. I mean, I've seen guys kill them on a jerk bait, and I've caught fish in Oklahoma and different places on that break wall. Shad spawn type deal. Throw spinnerbait up there over 25 foot of water and catch fish off of it.
I've seen that same deal in Lake Louisville. We used to fish those college tournaments out there, and they had those
Tires.
Yeah, they had the tires on those breaking walls and stuff. Those things would get nasty. I've seen guys flip those, and they'd be like 25 or 30 feet deep, and they flip over in with a jig and catch them. I'm like, why am I even here? That lake is so weird. I hated that lake.
Texoma's got some of those. Some of those Oklahoma and Texas lakes got some of those tires, but that's a redneck break wall right there. Is them tires out in front. But yeah, any of that kind of stuff, and is a shad spawn type deal. You can try to find that in the first hour or so, but water level's really so important this time of year, and kind of figuring out what the going up and down, but looking at Google Earth, like on the ANGLR app, I mean, that's something I always do, no matter where I'm going, because you can kind of see those long running points. You can look at and see the cover on there, and drop a waypoint, and it helps out big time, doing your research like that.
It looks like there's a bunch of grass and stuff in the back of this pocket too, so pretty good looking little, yeah. Like I said,
grass there, and see, when we were there, those grass beds, I remember seeing those on Google Earth and stuff, and they were so far under the water. I mean, there was no fish relating to it because it was up in the woods, and those fish were up in the woods. But yeah, that's probably a great place to look at the water's actually level. I'm sure that's a great swimming a jig around that.
When you get a lot of water over that right there, can you do then like you do on Gunnersville and like fish a trap through it?
I tried. Couldn't do it. I mean, I tried throwing looking for those kind of pre-spawn fish, but when we were there, for some reason, those fish wanted to be up, and it was, it was so flooded, and those, I caught one or two maybe, but they weren't really relating to it where I found them. They were actually relating to the wood and I guess all the stuff that was flooded.
Yeah,
more than they would the grass that I found, but it looked right. I mean, it was the only thing that was out of the trees that was good cover, but they weren't really relating to it for me.
Yeah, I've done that. I mean, we got a little lake here that floods. Middle Pond, you fished it before. I whacked a bag on it, Yates Lake, but it floods. I mean, it's probably below Lake Martin. It's pretty much a river channel and a couple of creeks. So it'll get up. I think there's a 17-foot floodplain, and I've tried to do that before we get in the backs of the creeks and stuff, where there's like it's usually up on the bank, like a little grassy hill. And
Yeah.
I want to throw it. I've caught a few, but it doesn't seem like I don't know if those fish just aren't used to it and they want to go as shallow as they can and get up in the woods or what. But it just seems like it works somewhere at some point with floods like that.
Yeah. Watercolor, but it was real muddy too when we were on that lake, and they just didn't want to be out. They wanted to be up. Those big ones wanted to be up in those trees.
Well, that's going to get us about done with the break down your water. But what we got going on also inside of the Angler app is a Jordan Lee fish off. For 7 days, you're being challenged to catch 10 fish in the Jordan Lee fish off. And if you do, huh?
I'm gonna get on that too.
You gonna get on it? You gonna beat these boys?
Huh?
You gonna beat these boys?
I don't know if I'm gonna beat them, but I'm gonna try to get in on it, and get that badge, because that's what it's about, right?
It's all about that badge, man. That is literally what you win, is that nice little image right there that says Jordan Lee Fish Off Challenge badge.
If you get the badge, and you got to do it honestly, shoot me, tag me on Instagram or something like that, and who knows if the pictures are legit, I may send you some. I don't know. I got something around, so you don't know. I'm not promising anything, but it's a challenge. That's all it is.
Yeah. You heard it here first, we didn't even expect that, and we got that. That's pretty exciting. We'll get a little J. Lee swag if you go out, complete the challenge, and we'll see. Maybe, definitely, but probably, but maybe get a little.
That's all I'm saying.
All you gotta do is in 7 days log 10 catches in the Angler app, and then you get your Jordan Lee fish off.
Kirk's gonna get 7 smallies by 8 a.m. He said.
Ooh, that's pretty quick.
So
he's on that bag. All right, so we'll jump out of the Angler app here, and that's that. That's Anglers Break Down Your Water. So let's see if we got some questions. And get back to the Q&A part here. Looks like Derek slipped me know there's something over here. All right, so Ryan Miller. Oh man, here we go. Ryan Miller putting it on the home pond. Let's see. With Lake Martin easing towards becoming a blueback, you don't say those words. Why are you gonna say words like that? I don't want it to be a blueback here in Lake, but he's right. They got a lot of bluebacks in there now. How do you and Jordan think that has changed? And you can't see the rest of it, but it says will continue to change the largemouth pattern. So you know more about the Clark's Hill type mess than I do. Talk about the blueback and what I got to do to cash a check up here from now on.
Well, Smith Lakes, it's really changed it. This spring, those bluebacks would spawn all day. And it's not like a morning thing. It's weird. I still had to figure it out. I'm not it's definitely a weird bite that goes on, but those bluebacks were getting up in the backs of these creeks, and anywhere there was water coming in or there was flooded grass or anything like that, and they were just back there. And this time of year, that's where the fish were they were almost bluebacks. They weren't out on points, nothing like that. Wherever those were, the biggest fish in the lake are.
Yeah.
It changes it. They're all related to that bait. So those bigger spots and stuff like that are, they'll get out there in the hot summer, super deep, where you won't even, they'll be out there on a brush pile and waiting for them. But it changes a lot. Them largemouth will be out there, chasing around and stuff like that. But the fish will get bigger, but they're harder to predict.
So the only thing I know relative to, and I want to see how different it is, like the shad spawn, it's early and over with, and you can visually see it. With the herring deal, you say it lasts all day, and can you see them? Do they still get up on the surface, or are they below the surface?
You can see them this spring. We could, you could see the herring clear as day. The water's super clear, but not all the time were the bass up there just blowing up on them, just eating them, crushing them like they would a shad spawn. It's really different. It's kind of weird. At times I could see those bass up there just sitting, and those heron would be on the bank, literally like right on the bank, and they would just be sitting there waiting on them. It's the weirdest thing, but And it's not just an early morning thing. That heron spawn on Smith, you know, I don't know if it's a heron. I mean, it is a heron spawn. I mean, they were spawning, but it wasn't just early in the morning. It would start at like 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a weird bite, but it changes the lake. And, you know, every lake's different. Smith's a different lake because we don't have those long points and stuff like that. It's a lot of deep, you know, deep stuff. So it's kind of a unique place. But
what about what's your favorite bait to try to replicate the heron, or is it big topwater? What do you? That's what I hear the most about.
like on those like I said, every lake's different, but like Hartwell and stuff like that. I mean, it's a top water fluke, you know, that kind of deal. And Martin probably be the same way because there's a lot of, you know, flats and stuff like that. But you know, a swim bait like a Berkeley grass pig, just a solid white one, works really well. Just reeling it along the surface. That's kind of a low key good bait. But yeah, it's the kind of baits you throw. I'll be trying on Lake Martin.
Yeah, that's what we got to get into. So, kind of taking a segue from that, what about we'll do a little tips and tricks?
What about Lake Martin? How's it been? I mean, have you been fishing out there?
Unfortunately, yes, I have.
What have you been catching?
Well, when the COVID crisis hit, I actually went and fished a derby, and I didn't even post about it like I would typically love to brag, and I get the chance to do so now, so that's good. But I won a little derby up there with 13 pounds, and that was like the biggest bag of largemouth I think weighed in. I'm not going to say they've had a lot of little tournaments and stuff, but you know, usually in the spring, somebody have 17, 18 pounds of largemouth a time or two, and it's real. I don't know if it's the herring deal that's messed it up. I don't know if. I mean, the lake came all the way up, went all the way back. It was just up and down and up and down and muddy and rolling and a mess. And then it got 85 degrees for 14 days straight. And then it was 40 for a few nights. And it's just, I don't know what happened with the spawn. I don't know what's going on. I've seen like 3 or 4 fish on the bed, and they're small when I see them. And I've seen a few balls of fry. I don't know if it's just going to be a terrible spawn this year, or if they did it all really quick, or if there's still some doing it, because water temp 68. I went out there Tuesday night, it's 68 degrees.
That's how it's been. I mean, it's been literally, I mean, it's been just the exact to the T what you're saying. How'd you catch them largemouth up there?
No, I don't want to talk about that. This is not about me, Jordan. This is about you, man.
I don't know, but I'm the guest. I have a right to ask you how you caught fish, because you've been quizzing me.
I'll say part of this will be true. Part of this will be a bald-faced lie.
I gave up the juice. Give up your juice.
I caught them on I think all of them came on a lose. That's a loose fishing reel, speed spool.
Who cares about that? I want to know what bait it was.
No, I did. I will say this. I caught them all postponed.
You're killing me. Are you serious? You're going to see, this is what happens for the people who are watching. I don't know how many people are watching. I get on here. I give up, you know, how I'm catching these fish, whatever. And Shaye won't even give up how he won a Monday nighter with 13 pounds. It's bad
for me to win than it is for you to win. It's so easy for you, man. You just go out there and win. All you do is win, win, win. I can't give it up, man.
I don't win many tournaments. I finish high every now and then, but I really don't win that many tournaments.
I may have caught a couple on the frog. That's all I'll say.
Okay, that's good enough. I just want to know. I mean, it's either a frog or a floating worm with you.
Yeah, well, Pops is the floating worm guru. He's the one that caught the 10 on it. Like, he ain't got no sense on Lake Martin.
I was wondering how he caught that.
On a floating worm. Had 25 pounds on Lake Martin and a 10 pound. He saw, 6 inches of water, so he looks over there and he sees a big fish. He's like, that's a carp. Let me throw at it just to make sure. And it turns and gets this float worm and swims off. And he sets hook. It's a 10 pounder. I was working an elite series at Table Rock. He calls me. He's like, I can't talk. I'm like, he's having a heart attack. I'm in Missouri. What am I, why is he calling me? I said, what's wrong? He's like, I just caught 11 or 12 pounder. I said, Daddy, you on Lake Martin? No, you didn't. And he said,
he didn't break it off.
He throws it on braid, straight braid on a bait caster. So
that helps.
Yeah, that's my Pops. That's a straight power finesse fisherman. But he had a 6 pounder that morning too, like right at daylight. So he had 16 pounds with 2 fish on Lake Martin. Ridiculous.
Not bad.
No, not a bad start. So anyway, yeah, Pops is a float worm guy. I'm a frogger. But let's get into the pure fishing tips and tricks with Jordan Lee.
Popping frog or regular frog?
Man, why you? It was a hollow body.
You're horrible at this. Won't even give up his own tricks on his own podcast. My Lord. If you're gonna get more viewers, you're gonna have to actually tell what you're throwing with, Shaye.
The problem is I don't want see like Ryan Miller's on here. Ryan Miller's winning everything up there on Martin right now. I can't have him know what I'm doing. I gotta win my one every 3 years, man. I don't do very well.
Don't worry about him. He'll be all right. He ain't worried about what you're throwing. I promise you. If he's that good, he ain't trying to get Shaye Baker's baits.
Joe Gotti. What you got on that pure fishing? We're gonna get back to the agenda at hand, and you're gonna give me some pure fishing tips and tricks.
Yeah. So what do you want to know? I mean, I do have a few baits here.
I guess. Are we in the postpone yet? Are we getting there? I mean, what do you got laid out for us? You got some.
We're spawn. We're spawn. This is a little crawl that's kind of cool. I mean, there's a ton of crawls on the market. I know there's some glare. I'm gonna take it out of the pack, but for bed fishing and visibly seeing a bait. I mean, I typically don't throw white, but I like something that looks real. I mean, looks realistic. And this is a champ crawl, and it's great on a Texas rig, a big shaky head. Anytime you're bed fishing, it's a cool bait. These pinchers have a little like air in them, and so they're going to float up and kind of stand up. But something that just really just ticks them off, pisses them off, whatever you want to say. And that's what you want. So it's kind of that perfect size too. It'll fit on a 5/0 hook and a straight shank or EWG, whatever style hook you want to throw on it. But definitely a good little sight fish bait. The colors are real good. So I like throwing that, when I'm bed fishing. I've caught a lot of fish that's the spring on it. Another little bait that I helped design is this champ swimmer. This is kind of like a little bluegill color. I got it on a swim bait hook, a belly weight hook. It's got a blade on it. And anytime you're around, spring or on grass, and if you're looking for a big bite, throwing a swim bait like this, it's not too big. It's not like a 7-8 inch swim bait, glide bait, anything like that. This is a 4.5 inch swim bait, and it's kind of that perfect size for catching a big fish. And the colors, obviously, of these is something that was kind of new for Berkeley and in a lot of companies, where they actually print. This is a bluegill color. You can see how realistic that looks, but they actually print it and put it on the baits. Where it looks real natural, and it's a great color, for the spring bluegill. But you can check them out. But those are kind of two of my favorite springtime baits that I've been using a lot. And
I like that swim bait there. You're talking about throwing it in the grass. So many people swim a jig now. Something like that just gives you a little something different to put out there and get you a little big bite.
Yeah, I mean it definitely does. Swim baits are a great way to catch a big fish shallow, and no matter what lake you're on. But yeah, it's definitely a good thing to be throwing this time of year.
I heard that. What about the high vis line? That's something I see you doing. A lot of guys do.
Yeah,
I never have done that, but it makes a lot of sense. And you do it as an indicator, right, where you can see when the fish bite it. Is that?
Well, honestly, the first time I did it, quick story, I was fishing one of my first opens, and I was at Lake Amistad, and I was fishing with braided fluoro leader, because that was kind of the new deal, and this is 2014 or whatever. Fishing, and I found fishing 50 foot of water, 45, 50 foot, and I could never. It was cloudy, it was windy. I could not tell when my bait was on the bottom. Because I just couldn't see. I mean, it was cold, and it was so I would never be able to tell if my bait's on the bottom. So I'm like, I gotta find me some. So I overnighted some high vis line, It was actually like, I don't think it was yellow. I think it was like red or pink or something like that. But anyways, I was able to exactly tell when either a fish hit it on the fall or it was on the bottom, and I was like, I'm not going back anymore. So for years, I fished with high vis line, smallmouth, and it's really just seeing when your bait's on the bottom. Because to me, like that green braid, when you're throwing a shaky head or a whatever you're throwing, and you're fishing on the bottom, you cannot see that line on a cloudy day. So it's important to me, to throw it on a spinning reel. But some guys actually started flipping, big weights and stuff with that high vis, and marking up your line with a Sharpie, and it's kind of smart because you can really see it in that grass flipping. I mean, it makes sense that, if it can help you see that bite, I mean, it's worth it.
Yeah. One of the things I've seen guys do, I think Zach Dane does it some, which I mean a lot of guys do. I think that's where I saw it, but they'll actually leave a pretty long tag line when they're skipping like a wacky rig or something like that around docks, and it even gives a little bit more of an indicator, that it jumps. You can see it versus just like looking at your line. So
Yeah,
it's some interesting stuff with that high vis line. It brings the whole thing around. Like we worry so much about seeing 8-pound test versus 6-pound test fluorocarbon, and another thing there is a lot of people talk about it's more about the vibration the fish feel it than it is seeing it, but pretty wild to think that even that matters something, and it does matter sometimes. Then you can just throw a yellow line on and you're good in certain.
I mean, all the time though, I'm throwing a fluorocarbon leader with it. And even with the flipping and stuff, you can tie a leader and your good 25-pound leader flipping, but I throw an 8-pound or a 10-pound leader, 12-pound leader on my spinning reels, and I don't really go super light. I don't go anything under 8 usually, but tying a FG knot or Alberto knot, you're not gonna break the knot, and it's kind of my, when you fish a lot of spinning reels. I know you're just a straight frogger and you don't own a spinning reel, but it definitely, the X9 is more of a smooth braid. Berkeley makes 2 different braids, and the X5 is kind of a rougher, like Power Pro, like you probably throw a lot on your frogs. It's kind of, that kind of braid where it feels. But the 9, and if you ever see this, I'll teach you something a little bit about line, Shaye. This is Jordan Lee's classroom, but it's something I learned last year. So it's carriers. So carriers is, the more carriers in the braid is the more wraps. So like 9, it's a 9 carrier braid, so it's wrapped more, so it's going to be a smoother braid. X5 is a 5 carrier braid, which is not as many wraps. So it's coarser. You can actually feel it. But the more carriers in a braid, if you ever see a number with braid, it's probably 9, 8, and that's a smoother braid. Just so you know.
Yeah, that's good. I use suffix 832, and I think the 8 stands for what you're talking about there, the carriers deal.
Yeah, so you already know.
No, I didn't know. I didn't know the terminology, and that's pretty. You did something. You did something. I'm proud of you. Appreciate you.
I'll teach you something on this podcast if you have me on it. Don't worry.
That's right. Let's get back into the Q&A here. Got a little Q&A stuff.
It's definitely gotta get used to it and tying that knot and stuff. But some people it's not for them, but a lot of people like it.
So Eugene Davis, one of our Wednesday night boys, said he'll pay the Wednesday nighter fees if I wrap his new boat in our logo. That sounds like a bad deal. That sounds like I'm gonna be losing on that one. But I do appreciate it, Eugene. We got Caleb, old C-Rod here coming in. Conroe Purple. Yeah, C-Rod. Which one which one meant more to you?
Caleb. So Caleb is a Auburn alumni for the people who are watching, and we fished on Auburn's team together. So good to hear from him. I'm sure it's good for Shaye. Looks like he's got a couple girls, so his hands are full.
Yeah.
Appreciate you being on here. Conroe or Hartwell? You know, Conroe was probably probably meant more. Um, just being the first one, and that was just a huge step in my career. Both of them were, but coming back from big deficit and just it was like a Shay talked about earlier being like a movie. I mean, going to the last day, you're 14 pounds back to win the classic, and you come in, you catch this big bag of fish. It's pretty awesome. I mean, I wish I could rewind it and go back and live that moment, but you can't do that. But that was an awesome day for sure.
Well, you did better than I thought you was going to do. Honestly, I was like, well, Caleb, which one of your daughters do you love more? Because, I mean, that's kind of what you're asking my man right now. It's hard to pick in two classic wins. I'm pretty sure you love them a lot, both of them. I mean, that's something that not many people have done. So it's pretty stout. Let's see what else we got here. I saw. All right, how do you attack a lake that is normally semi-clear and now is chocolate milk with water temps in the low 60s or 70s?
Um, if semi clear and it's chocolate milk, those fish typically are really going to rush to the bank and get around anything. I know, like on Smith, when it's gin clear and it gets chocolate milk, and it usually takes a day or two, for it to not clear up, but where it's not just absolute orange and it's just muddy. Those fish are going to be biting, especially if it's 70s, because that means they're post spawn and they're going to be around the bank. They're going to be shallow. They're going to be on the bank if it's mud, if it's that muddy. So don't throw your bait anywhere off the bank. Land it on the bank and start reeling. But chatterbait, spinnerbait, buzzbait, I mean, it should be good. Usually it is when it's like that. Square bill, even fish rock and grass, anything on the bank.
You mentioned a glide bait kind of in passing a while ago. You throw one, you do which one?
I'm not really a big glide bait guy. I'm not a big bait guy. Some guys are and they're good at it. And I got some glide baits. I've thrown them some, but I'm not definitely professional at it. I've thrown. I'm trying to even think which one I've thrown. I got a handful of them. I can tell you, it was like $70 on Tackle Warehouse. I can't even think the name of it, to be honest with you. But the line I've thrown 25-pound mono and 20-pound fluorocarbon. I actually like the fluorocarbon better. I was throwing a floater, but the mono, I didn't really have to throw it with the float and glide bait, so I like the fluorocarbon better. It just kind of kept it just under the surface.
Oh, Paul Wall dropping in.
Paul Wall, I don't know, but I'm gonna be down there tomorrow. Believe it or not, I haven't been to Logan in probably since I fished with Paul, probably since I had fished with Paul is the last time I've been there, which has been a long time ago. But I'm gonna be down there tomorrow fishing a YouTube live tournament.
Whackfest.
For fishing against Cannell and Mark Daniels and Fletcher, I believe.
Well, that'd be a good time.
Be announced or not, but it doesn't really matter. But
is that gonna be on MLF or?
I'll be on some mega juice on Logan. Probably good 9-10 pound bags. I'll be sure to drop you a waypoint.
Yeah, that's solid. What is that gonna be on MLF's YouTube channel or?
No, it's gonna. Honestly, don't. I think Jacob's gonna be putting it on. Wheeler's gonna be putting it on, and it's gonna be partially on his channel. But I'm not even really sure. But I know I'm going there tomorrow.
Yeah, you got the details.
I got I got a lot of Paul's, offshore holes and stuff like that. I plan on running all those all day.
You just the only detail you made sure they went ahead and got your nameplate for the trophy.
Just running history jerkbait Paul Davis holes is what I plan on doing.
Ooh, bumping them road beds. Ooh.
Yeah, I like fishing, stuff in April that I've caught fish. We caught fish on in like November.
Yeah.
It worked out good.
Yeah. What's got a few more questions here. What's your favorite rig? Wacky Nico, Wacky Ned. There's a couple.
Josh Chappell that question.
Huh?
Just ask Josh Chappell about the Wacky Nico rig. He'll be able to answer it.
Oh, Chappell. What
What's your favorite rig? I don't know. I mean, all of them. I don't really have a favorite. You know, I mean, I typically, Ned rig is really good. Clearwater, Nico, I like throwing offshore more, and Wacky Worm, weightless, I throw shallow. So I kind of mix them up.
10-4. Well, that was a good little round of Q&A there, Joe Gowdy. What the show is coming to an end. It's sad, but it's hour and 20 minutes or so into it. I got to get up and go to work tomorrow. I'm an old man, and we're going to do a little segment here at the end called "Put the Plug In," and that's where last thing you do before you go fishing, you put the plug in. Last thing I'm going to do before we end this, let you thank anybody you'd like to thank. Huh?
I really want to thank Paul Davis for, all the intelligent Shaye and all my Auburn buddies, Caleb, whoever's watching. I'm sure Pal's not watching. He's probably laid up, but for all the, the guidance that y'all gave me over the years down there at Auburn, put me on the right path. And that's really.
If that way to quickly surpass your guiders, you did great, man.
That's who I want to thank.
Well, we're proud of you. You done us proud and whacked a few bags.
We had good times down there.
Yeah,
it was fun. And what's crazy is now is not even being in school. A lot of nobody's in school right now or was in school. I mean, that would really be a bummer.
Yeah.
So
pretty weird times. I mean, they're winding down their year and their college careers and stuff, and had no idea they weren't. It's weird. A lot of graduations aren't happening. It's odd times for sure. But yeah, enjoyed it, JoJo.
Yep, had a good time.
Good time. I'll catch you down the road there, and good luck out there on the water.
All right, man. Be good.
I'll let you. All right, that is that. We had a good time. Old Joe Gotti came on there and talked us through a lot of what he's been doing and what he did back in the day. Talked a little bit about college, a little bit about high school, the co-angler route. Y'all want to go back, if you're just coming in, you can go back and check out some of that stuff. Had a lot of Q&A. Broke down Jordan Lake in North Carolina, so you can go back and check that out if you're just now tuning in. But yeah, we're also going to be giving away a few bullseyes at random from the people that shared, and we'll try to do that every week. So appreciate you guys helping us get the word out there. Enjoyed it. This is Shaye Baker. This has been Wishin' I Was Fishing, and we are done.